Um, I hope that he isn't suspended because I'm very fond of Jamal Murray, but that's not what this is about. This is about the fact that he committed an act that even Draymond Green himself concedes could have been very, very dangerous. That warrants a suspension for a game, or at the very least, a very, very stiff fine. Now, I can understand Draymond Green that not coming to his mind. Why would it? Of course you would feel that way. You're a player, first of all, a champion, second of all, but third and most importantly, you've had your share of suspensions, and some you might have deemed unfair. So of course you would feel that way. But that's why you have neutral eyes looking at this, not somebody jaded by being a participant in the profession and would be more prone to exercising a level of leniency towards one of their contemporaries. Jamal Murray, throughout his career, has been class personified. He has never done anything, as far as I can remember, Legs, that he doesn't deserve to be criticized, besmirched, or anything in terms of his character as a person, as a man, as a professional. He's never done anything wrong. We're only talking about this incident and what this incident warrants based on its seriousness. Well, let's crystallize that. If you throw a heating pad on the floor, all right, you've endangered other players. Somebody could have tripped, they could have slipped, they could have twisted their ankles. We see people doing that all the time. That's number one. Number two, you were throwing it at the official. Well, you know that's not good. You know the NBA don't want you doing that. So you're doing that. Number three, you're doing it because y'all were getting your ass kicked. Yeah. Okay? And there's no way around that. And so taking those things.
I mean, look at that. It literally hits Jokic's feet. Listen, this whole thing is a disgrace. It's not that complicated. Okay? We don't have to dance around the topic here. We don't have to say, well, he's a really good person in the past and this and that. None of that matters. None of that matters. He threw multiple objects at the refs on the court. First a towel, and then the heating pad. That is a disgrace. You can't do that. What are we talking about here? Anything short of a suspension is absurd. And when they interviewed the refs before, I read this on ESPN, and they were saying like, oh, if we knew what happened at the time, we would have issued a technical. And they were like, well, then the interviewer said, well, why not throw him out? And they were just like, well, we needed to see, we have to be able to gauge if it was hostile or not. Like, what are we talking about? He threw multiple objects at the ref on the court. That should be an immediate suspension. An immediate suspension. Immediately tossed out of the game. A fine is not enough. And this is where the NBA is so dumb. Because at home you watch this, so we know at headquarters they see it. We know all the big people who make all the gajillion dollars within the NBA who are monitoring all this stuff, they see it. How they don't throw him out afterwards when they recognize what happened. I understand in the moment the refs didn't get to see what happened, right? And they're probably just like, oh, this must have been an accident, right? Like there's a lot going on for these refs, so I get it. But the people who are actually watching it, who have the millions of TVs and all the angles, they should have absolutely relayed down to the refs, yo, this is what happened. Jamal Murray needs to be thrown out of this game. And that does two things now. Now, because I understand this is an entertainment company. The NBA is an entertainment company. We want to see these playoffs with Jamal Murray playing, right? We don't want him to be thrown out. So what the NBA could have done, but they're just not smart enough, is they could have thrown him out for that game, and then that's like the suspension. That is the punishment and a fine. And then now he gets to play the next game. This game was already out of control. This game was already, lost from the jump. So now, though, since they didn't do anything for that game, if they don't suspend him for this game, that is, for the next game, game 3, that is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing, mind-blowing, mind-blowing. There's no way you could not suspend him. There's just no way. He has to be suspended. You can't throw items onto the court and not get thrown out of the game or get suspended. I mean, what are we talking about here? And originally the ref was like, oh, it just, it would have just been a technical. You mean like Anthony Edwards got a technical just for staring at someone? Coaches get technicals for throwing their hands up in the air and screaming. But now someone can throw an item onto the court at a referee and not get thrown out or suspended. He would just get a technical? What are we talking about here? I mean, it's insanity. And then we want to play this game where we're like, well, he's a good person. He's never done something like this in the past. That does not matter. No one's saying that he should be suspended for the rest of the season, for the rest of the playoffs. No one's saying that next season he should, be suspended for 20 games. No one's saying that. But you can't throw items on the court. Like, this is not that complicated. There's not much more to say on this topic because it's not that complicated. Jamal Murray did something that should have had him be thrown out of the game. Okay? He threw multiple items, not one, but two. This was an incident. Steph Curry threw his mouth guard and got thrown out of a game. Okay? And it wasn't even at a ref, or it didn't even endanger anyone. But yet he got thrown out. So this is insane. I mean, you can literally see someone stepping on it. Absolutely could have slipped. What would have happened? It's mind-blowing to me. It really, really is. And the fact that there is any type of conversation outside of he needs to be suspended, that's just acting out in bad faith, quite honestly. That's either just trying to have a conversation for the sake of conversation, trying to just take the opposite approach and just, wanting to be like, no, he doesn't deserve a suspension. He was just frustrated. I think a fine will be suffice. Like all of those takes are nonsense. Absolute nonsense. He did something that deserves a suspension, so now he should get suspended. It's that simple. It's really that simple. We do not need to complicate this anymore. And again, it's a bummer that now that if he gets suspended, he doesn't get to play in Game 3. I get it. It was a bummer that Draymond Green got suspended his games. And I don't even want to use Draymond Green as a comparison because it doesn't matter. But that's the NBA's fault. And that's on Jamal Murray's fault. That's on them both. The NBA could have thrown him out at halftime. Or literally the next play once, the people in the nice cushy seats got to see it on TV and said, okay, yeah, he's got to be thrown out. But they didn't do that. They let him play even knowing what he did. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. So the NBA did this to themselves. They could have just thrown him out. Then it would have been ready for Game 3. He could have just been thrown out of the game, had a hefty fine, and then, there you go. But instead, the NBA lets him do that, lets him play, and then he doesn't even have to have an interview after. He just leaves without talking to the press. That should not be allowed when you get paid all the amount of money that you get. Your job is to play basketball and entertain, to give the interviews. I don't care that you lost. You have to face the cameras. You have to face the press. That is how this works. It's not just basketball. So the NBA allows all of these players and coaches to get away with this. And it's just absurd. And then they wonder, why are our ratings down? Why does the NFL dominate us? This is why. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. You can tell I'm heated about this one. I would love to hear your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. And I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.